Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Thank you for the super welcome. It's very kind. Our guests, the other guests look super too. And we had a generator too. Oh my gosh. Thank you, God, Goddess, whoever. It was so cold. Yeah, for 4.5 days. I invite you to take a trip back in time with me to 1970, the time of Black Power. Women's lib. I still couldn't start that generator. And the Vietnam War. Come with me back to my junior high school. Math class is getting a little boring. I said, Mr. Penn, can I pass to the bathroom? Those girls look a little scary. They're smoking too. Why are they doing that during class? They must be bad, but oh well. What was that noise? God, that sounded like a gun. There it goes again. I think those girls are kicking the door to my stall. What did I do? What are they so mad about? What am I going to do now? I could just sit here. I could wait till the change of classes, till more kids come in here. I could scream. I don't know who would hear me. I could just cry, but no. I have 5 brothers. Yeah, and they taught me to be tough. I'm going to go out and just go back to class. I'm not sitting here. It smells too much anyway. Those girls didn't do anything to me when I left that bathroom. But they taught me a lesson. They taught me a lesson that I will never forget. And that is, until that day, I had thought only white people hated black people. But I found out that most of the students in my school who were black, who were ebony, hated me because of my skin color. I didn't ignore that lesson. I learned to be savvier. I learned to be much more careful when I went to the bathroom. And I learned to be on guard. You're probably wondering why. Why was I in that school? It goes back to 1963. My mother said to my father, John, I want to go to the March on Washington, organized by that guy, Martin Luther King. Oh, Mildred, I don't think that's a good idea. It's dangerous. A lot of people are dying in the civil rights movement. I can't raise our 9 children alone. I'm worried for your safety. Okay, John, I'll do what I can here in Wilmington. And my mother did. Well, Delaware doesn't actually go through the Mason-Dixon line. And it's kind of southern. She worked to desegregate schools, the theaters, restaurants, even the Catholic Church. And in 1965, she took all of us out of the Catholic schools and put us into the public schools, which were very well integrated at the time. They were about 1/4 black, about half Protestant Catholic, and about 1/4 Jewish. We had a regular melting pot, and we celebrated all the holidays. So I became stronger, sassier, and savvier. And I learned to watch out. And for some reason I stayed in that school. I'm not sure why. And my parents could have taken me out, because by the time I got to 8th, 7th grade, most of the white people had fled. Because in 1968, after Martin Luther King was killed, there were a lot of riots in Wilmington, Delaware. So people were scared and they left. But my parents hung in there because they believed in public education. So I had all kinds of experiences. Like one time during an intramural game, I elbowed a girl named Juanita Stone. She was the wrong girl to elbow. I didn't do it on purpose. And in the locker room, she said to me, "I'm going to get you." Wow. Well, I got dressed and I ran out and I saw her go and hide behind a stairwell. And again, I have 5 brothers. I know how to watch out for myself. So I went out a different exit. And I went home to a tree-lined boulevard. that was a lot different than where Juanita went home to, because I had plenty to eat. I didn't have to worry about whether I was going to college or not. I had piano lessons, books, vacations on the Chesapeake Bay. My world was a lot different than Juanita's. She taught me, though. She taught me one time in health class, the teacher told her to put up every cuss word she knew on the board and the definition. I still use that today. But even worse than the bullying, even worse than the racism, was the loneliness. Because not only was I white, I was better off. My parents were educated. So it put a real class divide. And I didn't really learn so much about that till later on. It's called white privilege. But it was hard to find friends because of my color and my class. And I longed for a place to belong. And I finally found that place. Or it found me, because I played the saxophone. And every marching band can use another alto saxophone. And they look for people who can march and play at the same time. I could do one, but not the other, at the same time. But they took me anyway. And the teacher, Mr. C. Lawler Rogers, was the teacher that you would just love to have. And we adored him because he actually made the effort to teach us and reach us, and that is not easy. And he would greet me as I came in the band room. Suzanne Tordella, how are you? What's not to love about that? But he made us have discipline, and he taught us respect for ourselves and each other. We had to find the money to buy white shoes to go with our uniform. We had to polish them. We had section leaders. We had inspections. He told us we had to be on time. A lot of our teachers, Ebony and Ivory, didn't demand that much of us. So we love Mr. Rogers for that. And if you didn't know your part, he would go right behind you with his trombone and play it. And you got your part, trust me. Music transcended the white privilege that separated me from my friends and my peers. We won parade competitions with his special step. The whole band would move together. And I can still remember it. How can I remember that after 30 years? So I stayed at that school because I believed in the principles of my parents. And my mother served on the school committee. And I don't really know the impact of my being in that school. I don't know how many people I interacted with who learned that maybe all white people aren't bad. But I do remember Phyllis Watson. She and I were in this service kind of sorority. It was called Leader Corps. And I was her big sister. So we had a little initiation process. She was 2 years older than me. She already had a baby. She made it clear to me she did not like me. And because she didn't even know me, I knew it was because I was white. I knew being white was not a character flaw. But she thought it was. And I thought, and as usual, I just had to just be myself and prove to whoever was hating me that day that being white was really okay, and not all white people are created the same. And even though she was hostile to me for a month, even though she refused to make eye contact with me, I refused to go to her level and hate her back. And at the end of that year, it was my senior year and her senior year, she wrote in my yearbook, Susan, if color made a difference, we wouldn't be friends. Mr. Toastmaster.